What are public schools in Monmouth County doing to keep our children safe from bullying? Find out next on Outlook Monmouth. Welcome to Outlook Monmouth. I'm Armen McOmber, your host. It is a front-page story across America. School bullying affects literally millions of children each and every year in the United States. It transcends all ages, genders, and races. In the past, bullying was viewed perhaps as a necessary, if regrettable, rite of passage. Now, with evidence showing that bullying is linked directly to poor student performance and student absenteeism, public schools are taking unprecedented steps to address the issue. We are fortunate to have two administrators from the Long Branch Public Schools with us today to discuss how Monmouth County schools are addressing this critical issue. Michael Salvatore is the district administrator for grades 6 through 12, and Gail Becker is the director of pupil personnel services. Welcome to Outlook Monmouth. And Michael, if I may address the first question to you, what is school bullying and how big a problem is it today in the public schools?
Well, when you talk about school bullying, Armen, I think you really have to, typically we envision the larger child who grabs the other child by the shirt and requests the school lunch money or his school lunch or something of that nature, and it's really transformed. It's not that as traditional. It's more of 21st century bullying. And you've heard the term cyberbullying. And it's used today because when you ask what is bullying, bullying is any intention to cause some distress. So what we're seeing today is children are using the computer and other means, such as texting, to initiate this bullying process. And is it a problem? I'm not just saying it's a school problem. I truly believe it's a societal problem because it just doesn't happen in school. Majority of cases we're seeing with bullying are happening in the home or outside of school and then carrying out in school. It's more of what are we doing after school today? We're chatting online and we're talking about somebody else. And those are some of the issues we're dealing with in schools today. But I wouldn't classify it as a school issue. I would say our society needs to understand that this is all of our problem, and we all need to work on this.
It used to be, parents could count on the fact that their children were home, that they were safe. But now I take it with these social networking sites like Facebook and MySpace. I mean, if your children are home, they could still be engaging in bullying or be victims of bullying, even on the computer or that kind of thing. How does the school address that?
Well, it's interesting you say that because Stanford University put a survey out to 3 of the largest high schools in California, and they talked about online bullying. And more than 40% of the students admitted to being bullied online. 35% of those students stated that they didn't know who was bullying them. It wasn't the child they can identify in class. It wasn't the mean kid in the schoolyard. It was an anonymous person saying mean things about them or harassing them or intimidating them in some way.
And does that kind of bullying, does that lead then to physical violence in the schools?
Absolutely. What happens is they carry it out somewhere. You don't have to be the mean guy anymore. You actually don't have to have any courage to be anonymous online, to create an account, and to attack somebody. So we're seeing a different type of bully today.
And Gail, do we see the same kinds of issues in the lower grades, in the elementary schools?
Well, not quite the same because of the technology. The young children don't have that same access on MySpace and Facebook or the technology in their hands to do this constant bullying. However, the effects of bullying are more damaging at the elementary level when they start very young because children then don't want to come to school. There's high absentee rates. They are excluded from their peers. Young children who bully and don't have pro-social skills, they are whispering, they're gossiping, they're calling other children names, all of the more typical things that you think of when you think of a younger bully, but still just as damaging effects.
It used to be, or the perception was that when you talked about bullying, you talked about boys. And so I guess, is it still mostly a boy-on-boy problem, or do we see girls involved in bullying to the same extent as boys are?
That's interesting you say that because everybody pictures this aggressive act of bullying. What we're seeing now with digital communication devices and these tools online, that it takes away from the female, the daughter being on the phone after school talking to somebody and being able to communicate with hundreds of people. So we're seeing an absolute rise in girls engaging in this type of activity where they're alienating people online, not accepting them as a friend is a big deal on a Facebook or a MySpace site. So we are seeing a rise, which unfortunately eventually leads to some type of physical activity. It's not just she said this about me. It's she said this to 100 people about me. She humiliated me or defamed me, and I'm going to retaliate.
And what typically is the source of the conflict? I mean, what are they gossiping about? What are they putting on Facebook or MySpace that's aggravating them? Is it just malicious gossip, or what kinds of things are the issue? Well,
I don't want to single those two sites, but because there's numerous blogging sites out there that children are signed up for or engaged in today. What is it? The root cause? The root cause is some type of relationship activity. It's the old she looked at my boyfriend or he looked at my friend and so forth, and then it carries out. The thing that you cannot control is your audience now, though. When you're talking about bullying, it's not 10 people in a classroom or in a lunchroom filled now. You're talking about potentially thousands of viewers to something. So it is becoming more and more of a problem. And the root cause we're seeing are relationships. And when people have relationship issues, communication issues, that's when it spawns to something else.
Like boyfriend, girlfriend, that type of thing?
Absolutely, boyfriend and girlfriend. I believe nowadays it's deflected in other forms where they never uncover the root cause of it. But the root cause, it comes down to relationships. It can be blamed on gangs. It can be blamed on how they were brought up in home. It can be blamed on economic status, but the truth is it's about relationships. It's about how we communicate and how we get along together.
And I didn't mean to single out Facebook or MySpace, but those are some of the better-known sites. Are there other sites that are worse? I mean, are there other sites children are using? Are there other sites parents should be concerned about?
And I wouldn't want to name any, but there are sites solely developed for slamming students or defaming students in a sense. And they're anonymous. So you don't have to name somebody. You can post a picture up in 5 minutes. You can be whoever you want to be. And the real issue is there's no accountability, too.
So there's a site designed to help children bully other children.
Numerous sites. Numerous sites out there and it's not for bullying. Please don't misinterpret what I'm saying. It's allowing children to express themselves about their opinion on other people or other topics, but it eventually is bullying.
Gail, there's another perception out there, and I think it dies hard, that bullying, it is what it is. It's something kids almost have to go through to become strong, responsible members of society. They have to learn how to defend themselves. They have to learn how to stand up for themselves. But what does bullying really do? What is the impact on children?
Oh, it's very detrimental. Children won't want to come to school anymore. And at an early age, particularly at the elementary school, they start to have a poor opinion about what school represents rather than everything that it can offer. They get physical ailments. The stomach ache will be very real. The headache will be very real. You even have suicidal ideation, and you could even have some suicide from bullying. You'll have poor attendance rates. It's a very, very detrimental thing for children.
In terms of education, does it impact on their grades?
Well, if they're not coming to school or they're feeling the pressure day in and day out of this bullying, they're not thinking about their academics, because if their social and emotional needs aren't in line with their academic needs, you're totally thrown off from any possible positive effect of education. So it works itself all the way around every part of their life.